Hey, what's up guys? I'm Jacob Kaufman, I'm on the street, and today we are installing Arch Linux on the laptop right behind me. So, as you saw in my last video, I have installed Ubuntu on my main machine. And so far it's working really great. I, customized the theme to where I like it, and I got all my programs on there, and it's running really well. But, of course, nobody online is going to respect me if I'm using Ubuntu. I mean, come on. The beginner distribution, the distribution that has stopped caring about the desktop, really doesn't make a lot of sense that would be the only distribution that I'm using. So, in order to preserve my Linux manliness, I will be installing Arch Linux on this laptop, which used to belong to my sister until she got a new tablet. So yeah, I'm going to install it right now off of a flash drive. Here we go. Alright, now I realize that that's kind of far back, but my camera is as close up to my desk as it will go. So here we go. And I do have the Arch Linux installation guide up. Because Arch Linux... First of all, if you don't know the philosophy Arch Linux takes, Arch Linux is a more complicated distribution to get working. And basically, well, their philosophy is called KISS, Keep It Simple, Stupid. Or maybe it's just Keep It Simple, I don't know which one they're using. But basically, Arch Linux, yeah, like I said, it's a bit more difficult to set up than a lot of other distributions. Basically, the campers of Arch Linux say if you can't figure it out, then you shouldn't be using it anyway. You're not going to want to use this for a day-to-day operating system unless you really know what you're doing and you're okay with having things break every now and then. I'm not okay with having things break every now and then on my main computer. I just got fed up with things breaking every now and then. But on this computer, boot error. Oh, that's awesome. All right, let's see if we can't get a boot menu this time. Is it F12 or F10? I'm ready to press either. Data Traveler. Boot error. All right. Let me just burn a CD. All right. That took quite a while, but we've got an Arch Linux disk now. Don't worry, I'll label it later. I usually remember to. So let's start the computer again. And once again, we'll go F12 for the boot menu and CD-ROM. We'll hit that. Sorry about the focus thing. Somebody asked me to fix the autofocus on this camera. I can't do that right now, but, you know, I'm looking into options for that. All right, so ooh, this is interesting. We can boot Arch Linux in 64-bit or 32-bit from the same disk. That's what they meant when they had the dual. I didn't get what they meant when they said that it was a dual installation disk. That's what it is. So that's really nice. That is something that other distributions need to do. You know this Ubuntu NetBoot disk? This is a NetBoot disk. It took up like 100 megabytes and that's it. But it only works on 64-bit computers. Every distribution needs to do this. You need to, if you're going to make a NetBoot disk even, then it's even easier, because NetBoot disks take up no space at all. You should be able to put 64-bit and 32-bit on the same disk. That is absolutely great. All right. Booting the 64-bit version. Alright everyone, so what happened at this point was I went through the process of installing Arch Linux multiple times, and eventually I found out that the hard drive in this laptop was actually broken. So I swapped it out with a hard drive from one of my older laptops, and we'll proceed now. So I put the hard drive from my old HP Pavilion into this thing, which was an ordeal in and of itself. Here we go. Installation. Changing the language. By the way, guys, once again, I am using the beginner's guide for Arch Linux because I'm a beginner to Arch. So, yeah, not just using the normal installation guide. If you're wondering where I'm reading some of this from, it's the beginner's guide. So the first step is to change the language. You don't need to do that unless you're not in the United States or you don't speak English. Establish an internet connection. All right. I've done this plenty of times. This is pretty darn easy. Like I said, this is like the 6th time attempting this. So as you can see, we are currently logged in as root on our live system. So IWDEV will get all of your network interfaces, or at least your wireless ones. Our interface is WLP3S0, so we will do Wi-Fi dash menu WLP3S0. Easy enough. Checking for networks, or scanning for networks. Hoping the Wi-Fi card still works. Hoping that that's not broken too. Here we go. KNet, profile, and security key. And for some reason, it doesn't bullet point or asterisk out the security key. It just leaves it there. But, you know, who's going to be watching you while you're doing this that you can't trust with your security key anyway? All right, so now we're connected to Wi-Fi. This is actually working better than I thought it would. All right. Next up, preparing the storage device. So this is what kept failing before. Yeah, hoping that this new hard drive I put in here works. So we are going to use the master boot record partition table. So first we'll erase the partition table on the drive. So sgdisk --zap all /dev/sda. So that's going to completely wipe out our hard drive. Okay. So it converted our master boot record to GPT format, then it destroyed the GPT format. We're going to go back to master boot record in just a moment. Using fdisk. We're just going to use one partition for our whole root drive, and we're not using a swap partition. Fdisk. Why? Because that's the simplest way to do it. /dev/sda. All right, so we're in fdisk now. So we will type O to create a new partition table. Create the first partition in primary partition, default 1, first sector, last sector. Create a new partition at the maximum size. We will preview our partition table. One partition, that's it. Awesome. And type W to write changes to the disk. Cool. Oh my gosh, this is actually working. All right, Arch Linux does not seem so difficult after dealing with all the hardware issues I've had to deal with in the past 24 hours. Create file systems. So we just made that a generic Linux file system. Now we'll format it with ext4. So make fs.ext4/dev/sda1. Yeah, make file system is what that stands for. Contains an intfs file system. Okay. Yes. Not sure why. Right. We're gonna go back into fdisk real quick. fdisk/dev/sda. What's our partition table look like? Okay. Right. Display the current partition layout. lsblk-f. Alright, so we've only got one partition, and it's /dev/sda1. Alright. Hoping it's that simple, everyone. Select a mirror. If you want to change what mirror you're using, you can nano into /etc/pacman.d/mirror list. And you can go here and comment out the mirrors you don't want to use. I'm just going to use the default mirrors, even though the first one's not from the US. I've tried this now in the past 24 hours. I've tried this both with just US mirrors and with all mirrors, and I couldn't tell a difference. So, install the base system. Pacstrap-i/mount. Oh, no. We need to mount. I'm sorry, guys. I'm skipping around here. lsblk-f. All right, so there's, once again, our partition. We're using /dev/sda1. So we'll mount /dev/sda1 to /mount. All right, so we just told the computer whenever we type /mount, you're going to put it on that hard drive. So, pacstrap-i/mount base developer. And actually, we're going to remove the -i because we wanted to do everything without prompting us. All right, so it's synchronizing package databases, going and updating its database. All right, those are all the packages that it's going to get. This warning skipping target stuff happens all the time. Not sure what that is exactly. This is going pretty quick, and it is a pretty minimal operating system by default, so of course it's going to go pretty quick. All right. Next up, we will generate an fstab. Gen fstab -u -p /mount /etc/ /mount /etc/ fstab. All right, so we're generating an fstab file with UUIDs. Done. Check out that fstab /mount /etc/ fstab. There we go. We've just got one partition / All right, cool. That's our root partition. So chroot and configure the base system. So now we're actually going to remotely connect to our local machine, because right now we're still on the disk. Remember, we're still running on the live CD. Now we're actually going to connect to the hard drive. So arch chroot /mount bin /bash. So we're connecting to the bash prompt in our local system, which is /mount. I'm hearing high-pitched noises from the laptop. I'm hoping I'm not going to get cancer or something from those high-pitched noises. All right, so now we're in. So we'll go ahead and set our locale nano /etc/ locale.gen. And by the way, I think you can use a different text editor if there is another one that you want to use, but I like Nano, and the beginner's guide uses Nano. So we will uncomment out. These are just examples. You can use any of these you want, but since it's right there, we'll use it. We're using English, US, UTF. It's recommended that you use UTF over ISO. So, yeah, if you're unsure, go with English, US, UTF, assuming, of course, you speak English. So let's go ahead and save that thing. Next, we will generate the locale. Locale-gen. So we're generating. It will generate anything you have uncommented. So we only uncommented that. It generated that. So now we will echo language equals in US dot UTF-8, which is the same thing we just uncommented and generated. Caret, which I'm getting means put it here, etc/locale.config. So remember, in Unix, everything is a file. All your configurations, all your settings, they're all files. Okay, so we just created a file that will set our locale. Export, substituting our chosen locale. So export language equals English US.UTF-8. Oh, whoa. I misspelled it. Export. There's no L in export. All right. So that worked. I'm going to turn down the lights because I'm thinking that this could be a little... That make it any better? Not really. I'm trying, you guys. Trying to make this readable for you. Console font and key map. So if we change the default console key map, then you can change the console font and key map in your installed system. We did not. We're just using the defaults, so that's fine. Time zone. So we will view available time zones with ls/user/share/zone-info/America. No, not /America, /US. That's what we wanted. All right, so like I said, every setting is a file, which is really great. See all these time zones? These are all just files. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the central time zone file and copy it over to somewhere else. Actually, we're not copying it. We're creating a symbolic link. So link-s/user/share/zone-info/us/central/etc/local time. So we just created a symbolic link between local time and central time because central time is local time for us. Really, really easy to understand. These Unix, Linux, everything's a file principles. Absolutely great for distros like Arch. Hardware clock. So hardware clock --systohc --UTC. So we're setting our hardware clock to UTC time, which they recommend. You can do local time if you're using Windows on the same computer. I thought they used to recommend local time, but not anymore. So kernel modules. This is just an example. You will really need to add anything. We're going to skip kernel modules. Host name, echo, Arch laptop, caret, slash, oh, that's shift, /etc. Sorry, guys, still getting used to this keyboard. /etc/host name. So we just made a file in etc/host name that's going to be Arch laptop, and that's how it knows what our host name is a file. So now we will nano into /etc/hosts, and we will put the same host name here, Arch laptop. Save. Configure the network. We are not going to do that until we restart the computer. We are going to install some packages that we will need. pacman-s iw-wpa supplicant wpa and dialog. We're installing those 3 packages. Looks like it pulled one more in, so we're installing 4 packages. Once again, they were installed on the CD. Now they're installed on our hard drive itself. So now we are going to, when we restart the computer, then we'll be able to connect using the Wi-Fi menu program like we did earlier. Create an initial RAM disk environment. Most users can skip this step. We only need to do that if we're on a USB drive, if we're using RAID, LVM, or if we're on a Btrfs volume, or if /user is on a separate partition. None of those things pertain to us, so we're going to skip it. Set the root password with passwd. All right. That high-pitched noise really is disconcerting, but whatever. Install and configure the bootloader. We have a BIOS motherboard. Of course, we're not going to use syslinux. We're going to use grub. Good old grub. pacman-s grub. So grub was already installed on the CD once again. Now we're installing it to our hard drive. And we could have copied it from the CD instead of downloading it from remote package banks, but then we would have gotten an outdated version anyway. So now we will install grub. Grub install --target equals i386 pc --recheck /dev/sda. And even though we're using a 64-bit computer, apparently we're supposed to use the i386 platform for grub, just for grub, not actually for Arch itself. But hard drive light is on right now. We're scanning the hard drive. Good to see it actually working. Installation finished. No error reported. Cool. So now we need to generate a grub config file. So grub make config -o /boot/grub/grub.config cfg. All right. boot/grub/grub.config. All right. Now we just exit. We're out of our installed partition back to our CD, and now we'll reboot. Cool. And it says make sure to remove the installation media, otherwise you'll boot into it again. So just popped out. There's our installation media. It has been removed. And we are now automatically booting into Arch Linux. Hopefully it works. Oh my gosh. It actually worked. Wow. Wow. All right. It only took me a whole day, which actually isn't that bad. That's not bad at all. Wow. I cannot believe that it finally worked. All right. I had to replace the hard drive in this thing. First, I had to diagnose that it was a broken hard drive, which took me a while. And then I had to replace the hard drive with a different hard drive from another computer that I wasn't even sure would work. It all works. All right, cool. Wow, all right. So, we have a working Arch Linux system. Now, normally it would be just like me to say, all right, guys, that's all for now. See you next time. But I'm actually not going to end this video here. I am going to continue going because I want a GUI. All right, let's do this. All right. So we don't have any users on our system right now, so we'll log in as root. All right, we're logged in. This is your system. Now, Arch Linux, once again, is not for beginners. It's for people who know how to use Linux. So you need to know how to use the command prompt or the terminal, which I'm reading the wiki right now is how I know how to do the terminal. You can do this too. So now I'm on the general recommendations page. So using groups. Logging in as root is supposed to be insecure. You should create a desktop user. Whoops. We will create a desktop user. All right. So we will do user add -m -g Jacob -bin/bash. So what we're doing is we're creating a new user, putting it in the group Jacob, and it's going to be called Jacob. And then whenever he opens up a terminal, he's going to get the bash prompt, which is just a normal terminal. So press enter. Group Jacob does not exist. I know it doesn't exist. Oh, whoops. All right. So we're going to remove the part about the group. Just going to make a new user. All right, so now we've got a new user called Jacob. Now we'll set the password for Jacob. gpassword -add Jacob users. Wait, what? Oh, can we just do password Jacob? All right. So I'm assuming that that password thing worked. Next, we will install our GUI. I don't think we have to do anything else before we install the GUI. So we will install Xorg. We're not using Wayland. Because, you know, this is an older laptop. I doubt it would even work with Wayland. So we'll install Xorg. So pacman-s Xorg server. Now let me take a look at the wiki, and we're going to be using the mate desktop environment here, not using XFCE. It was either XFCE or mate. I decided on mate. So what we're going to do, yeah, I guess first we'll just install the Xorg server. It's going to install all those packages. Failed retrieving. Oh, that's right. We're not connected to the internet yet. IWDEV. Whoops, IWDEV. All right, Wi-Fi menu WLP3S0. KNet. All right. So it looks like we're going to need to do, first we'll install Xorg. So we're connected to the internet now. So first we'll install Xorg, then we'll install a display manager. Then we will install mate. All right. So now once again we will do pacman-s Xorg server. We'll also do Xorg server utils. Xorg. Well, we could do Xorg apps. We're not going to do Xorg apps. We'll just do Xorg server utils, and Xorg x init. All right. Remove /var/lib/pacman/db.lock. Install again. And now we're actually getting the packages because now we're actually connected to the internet. Next, we'll grab our display manager. I think we're going to use LightDM because, I mean, it works pretty well. Pacman-s LightDM GTK2-greeter. We're going to use the GTK2 version of the greeter, but should be fine. 3 providers available for libgl. We'll go with the first one. Proceed with installation, yes. So it needed to grab another dependency, so it asked us which repository to get that dependency from. And now we're downloading the packages. Next, we're going to have to use systemd to automatically start LightDM when the computer starts up. So we will do systemctl. Systemctl is the command you use to interface with systemd. Systemctl enable service.lightdm. I think that's the command. Or I think that's the service name. Yep. Oh, no. LightDM.service. That's why I checked. LightDM.service. All right. So LightDM should start when we start the computer up from now on. And finally, we will install the Mate desktop, which basically, if you don't know, the Mate desktop is supposed to kind of emulate the feel of the GNOME 2 desktop, but it has GNOME 3 technologies like being built into it. So it's basically a version of GNOME 2 that's continuing to be updated with new technologies. We can do, all right, pacman-s, mate, and mate extra. Okay, let's go ahead and install those. All right, so that's a lot of packages. This is why Arch Linux, if you really know what you're doing, like even more than I do, then you can really have a very fast, very slim just computer with not a lot of packages, because this is more packages than the Xorg server had. So if you know how to go through and pick out precisely which packages you need, then yeah, you can have less packages than you might have by default on like Ubuntu or even like less heavy distros like Fedora. All right, so I am going to make sure that the camera has enough storage left in it, and then we will reboot this and see if it works. All right, here goes nothing. Reboot. Moment of truth. Let's see if we've been doing the correct stuff or if we've just been typing gibberish this whole time. Arch Linux. Come on. LightDM should start up now. Okay, that's not working. Can we do... Alright, so we can do Control F whatever to get to terminals. Let's log in as root. Let's try just running LightDM from here. Let's just try doing startx. Awesome. Alright, so I found the log file. Module visa does not exist. Let's try pacman-s visa. Does that work? Nope. Let's figure out what graphics cards we're using. Or what graphics card is in this computer. Intel. Let's try installing see, pacman-s xf86-video-intel. Install that. Oh, we're not connected to the internet. All right. Let's try it now. Hey! Oh, it almost worked. It almost worked. Okay, let's try rebooting. I'm getting hard drive activity now. Oh, is it gonna work? Hey, it worked. Kind of. Kind of. We've got a very minimal... I don't have a mouse, so that's good. Extremely minimal desktop here. Ah, no, we've got mate. All right, cool. Now the touchpad on this thing is not working, but we have a mate environment here. So that is awesome. That's great. This is great. We actually have a desktop in Arch Linux. All right. Now I'm going to go on over to another virtual console, and I'm going to have to make my touchpad work. Pacman-s xf86-input-synaptics, which I believe is the type of trackpad we have. Nope. That's better. All right, let's try rebooting now and see if it works. Does take a little bit longer to boot now because we have to start the X server and everything, but that's to be expected. All right. All right. Trackpad works. Cool. So yeah, everyone. I'll definitely go through this and I'll look at like network setup and everything. I probably will end up installing Network Manager for that. But yeah, for now, we have a functional Arch Linux system. So that, simple enough, right? That is how you install Arch Linux. That's green, by the way, that's not blue. That's the right color. But that's how you install Arch Linux version, but yeah, that's how you install Arch Linux. For now, that only took us a whole day. I'm Jacob Kaufman, I'm under the street, and I will see you guys later. See ya.